Yes, any doubt from the last class? Okay. So we were discussing about syllabus. In a while, we'll discuss about answer writing too. So we have seen that how paper one, it is the foundation of entire sociology optional, where we'll first understand a background about sociology and what exactly is sociology. Just summing it up. Right? Major part will be where we will be discussing point of views, and before that we'll also study how to study society, where we will do research methods and sociology as science, right? And last will be the application part, where we'll discuss about stratification, simple words, hierarchy in the society. We'll discuss about religion. We'll discuss about family, marriage, kinship, and lastly, social change in society. So this will be the basic, if we have to do a basic analysis that how does our paper one syllabus look like, it major blocks it looks like this. Now, this will provide you the basic foundational concepts, right? When we will be talking about under this different thinkers, we'll be doing the theories also. We'll get to know what is the basic point of views different scholars, different people have used while understanding the society, right? Now, from here, whatever we have gathered, we will move on to paper two. Now, the best thing about sociology is not just it has a short syllabus. If you compare, you can go today, you can compare with other subjects also. Whatever subtopics are also given in sociology, the very less, right? Then another bonus point is paper two is just continuation of paper one. So if your paper one is good, this will not take much effort. It will be very easy in nature, right? And you will not have any difficulty while attempting. In fact, over the years, it has been seen that people have been scoring more in paper two rather than paper one. Right? Toppers, like say for example, one topper gets 140 out of 250 in paper one, they're getting 150, 160 here also. So it has a very high scoring potential, which very less effort. Effort maximum you put it here in paper one. And this automatically is related to it. And it is also easier to understand because we'll be talking about Indian society. Like I gave an example of Green Revolution yesterday. At Green Revolution we know, but we know it more from the economy point of view. We'll see from the society point of view what happened, right? Or if we are talking about other aspects like caste, like tribe. So from India point of view, how do these various institutions, why they are there, what is their importance, right? What are the ill effects also? So all these things paper two will be discussing, and its focus will be Indian society. Now, Indian sociology, when we were talking about sociology per se, it originated in Europe. And sociology as a subject in India, it originated much later. But they took the inspiration from obviously the whatever the established point of views were there, Indian thinkers took their inspiration from them only, right? So first start of the paper 2, we will be doing these perspectives on Indian society. And perspectives on Indian society has just 3 thinkers. Out of these, if we see these 2 aspects, structural functionalism, in paper 1, when we will do Emile Durkheim and Parsons, we will be anyhow doing structural functionalism. That is the name of their point of view. Now, this person, M.N. Srinivas, he applies the same point of view from Indian society, right? Have you heard about the term Sanskritization, anyone, by any chance? Or dominant caste? Okay, we'll be doing these things. So these are the terms, very famous terms, which have been used even outside the domain of sociology also to understand caste. So Sanskritization, dominant caste, these are all terms which were coined by M.N. Srinivas, right? Just to give you an idea. So now when M.N. Srinivas studied caste, he gave this term dominant caste. This term was for dominant caste, like, here if we see Reddys. Now Reddys, when we see, they do not belong to Brahmins, they do not belong to Kshatriya, they do not belong to Vaishya. So 3 upper castes, they don't belong. But still, they're dominant in a regional area. Similarly, Jats in Punjab and Haryana, Yadavs in UP and Bihar. So Srinivas has tried to understand that although they're ritually positioned in the caste system, I guess you will be knowing about caste system. Yes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So their position is not upper caste, but still they have a dominant position in the society. So he studied from this perspective that why it is dominant. One of the reasons, we'll do it in detail, one of the reason is that they are majorly a agricultural caste. They had land, and land comes with power. So even though their position in caste system was lower, but land was responsible, right? So these things we will be doing from the Indian point of view. Now these 2 people, then A.R. Desai, his approach is Marxist sociology. Now Marxist sociology, Marxism, we are already doing with Karl Marx. So what he did is he applied to the Indian society. Same framework he brings in the Indian society, that's it. Right? So whenever we are doing paper 2, it is also like indirectly revising paper 1 also. Right? Its application in Indian society will help you to side by side again go back and revise paper 1. Again makes your work simpler. Only one thinker who has given a India specific perspective is Indology by G.S. Gure. He's also the father of Indian sociology. He was the first person to establish sociology department in Mumbai University. So his perspective is purely for Indian society, in which he talks about, we'll be doing in detail later on, that when we are studying Indian society, studying Indian society through scriptures, right? So you read Vedas, you read Ramayana, Mahabharata, and you will get an idea, because those traditions from olden times have continued in Indian society, and will get an idea why these institutions are. So if you are studying caste, you need to read the Rig Veda and understand that why this system originated, what was the need, why a social division of labor was in the society. So his perspective on Indian society, although it was criticized also, because his perception of Indian society became more of Hindu society, not Indian society as a whole, because he was talking about Hindu scriptures. So that is one criticism which he has. We'll do that later on. But his approach, it's not very difficult. Simply he focus on going through the scriptures. So that is one different approach. Rest two of them, we have already done it. We'll just apply it to the Indian society. So these three thinkers are there. In paper one, there are six thinkers. In paper two, there are just three thinkers. Two of them are a repetition. One is new, which is very simple, right? And while we are doing them, right, their theories on caste, we will study. And one of the major topic in paper two, just to give you an idea how there is lot of overlap in sociology. So this part, caste system, right? If you see perspectives of study of caste system, Gure Srinivas, which we will already cover in the first part also. Again, it is a repetition. So it is short, it is crisp, crisp, it is connected with each other, and the lot of topics are overlapping with each other. Again, makes your work very, very simple. Apart from these two people, we will be having an addition of two separate thinkers who have done wonderful work on caste system. And these two thinkers, these are not from India, these are French sociologists who came to India and studied caste system. How it originated, what is its form in present society. So again, things which you keep on reading, they will repeat itself, which makes your work so simple in nature. That is why I am saying again and again, paper one, if done nicely, you have completed 60-70% of the syllabus. Paper two is a cakewalk. Only problem in your paper two comes is that sometimes questions are too generic, too simple. They will ask Indian society questions. Say, for example, there was one question about MG Narega, impact of MG Narega. That's it. Sometimes such questions come in where you have that itch to write a GS answer. You don't have to write a GS answer, you have to write a sociological answer. How to write a sociological answers for topic that may appear or you might be tempted to write a GS answer, we will discuss that today. When we will do paper two also, we will try to understand that, okay, this is the question, how to attempt it from sociological point of view, right? Just play of language. That's it. There's nothing much here. So this part, the perspectives on Indian society and caste system part, they're very closely related to each other. In fact, there have been years when question has not come on these thinkers, but question have come on their perspectives on caste system. And questions have been very simple. Discuss a critique of Indology by G.S. Gure. You just have to criticize him, which we will be doing. Very straightforward questions, right? But the focus has been on this. And caste system as a topic is very, very important. Two short notes and one full length 20 marker is guaranteed from this topic. It's an easy topic, right? And in this perspectives, we will be doing features of caste system. When we'll do perspective features also, we'll be doing side by side. It's not like a separate subtopic or something. And then we'll talk about untouchability also. Because untouchability in caste system is something which came much later on. It was not initially the part of caste system. It was added later on. How it was added, why it was added, what was the reason behind it, we will be discussing these things, right? Say, for example, Dr. Ambedkar has an interesting theory about it, that untouchability came later on because people who were having a diet which was mainly animal meat, they were considered as impure, right? And because of the dietary habits, they were considered as untouchable over the years. That was his theory. So, like this, lot of theories we will talk about untouchability, right? Okay. Now, Next part is, this is very important aspect, that when we talk about Indian society, any talk about Indian society is incomplete without discussing the impact of colonial rule. Today, we talk about any problem in the Indian society. We talk about communalism, we talk about poverty in India. More or less, it has a relationship with your British rule. So, how Indian society had an impact due to that 200 years of rule, right? We will be discussing in this part. In this section, this part is very important. Sorry, next. Modernization of Indian tradition. How did Indian culture tradition got modernized over the years? Here, a very important thinker, Yogendra Singh, he's a very important Indian sociologist. He has written a small orange colored book on this topic, but we don't have to read that entire book. We'll be doing it in the class, notes will be given for it. But this is very important to understand Indian society. Rest topics are very simple. Social background of Indian nationalism. How did Indian nationalism came about? This is a theory given by Ayer Desai, which we will be discussing here only. So here and here, there is an overlap. We will not be needing repetition. Right? Again, there is an interconnection between two things. Ayer Desai gives a theory on social background of Indian nationalism, and in next topic, it is a separate topic. So again, your work gets reduced. So whenever I say sociology has a short syllabus, it's not just number of topics. It is also how different topics are interlinked with each other. Right? Okay. Then protests and movement during colonial and social reform. These are very trivial, small, insignificant topics. Over the years, like hardly 2 or 3 times questions have come out of here. Not very important and very simple in nature, because these you have already done in modern history also. Your protest movements, social reforms, but just we'll see from sociological point of view, just do an analysis, right? Say for example, when I'm talking about analysis, just to give you an idea, say for example, when we talk about social reforms, which is a topic here, in modern history we do social reforms, right? So have you done modern India? Yes. Social reforms, okay. Do you know about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar? These people work for empowerment of women, right? Now, when we see the social reforms from a sociological point of view, we need to do a critique that these reforms which were there, first of all, participation of women was zero. These reforms were led by men, and there was no say of women that we need these things, right? Or this is perturbing us, or this is the problem we are facing in day to day life. So we will see the social reforms in this manner, that even when they are talking about banning sati, if they're talking about widow remarriage, they never attacked patriarchy as a system. The reforms were very superficial in nature, and they have been critiqued in this manner that even when they were talking about all these social evils, it was not for women's betterment. It was because these people got educated. Now they wanted their wives to be educated, so that when they go out, they look like an educated couple. Lot of thinkers have their analysis. Now, this you don't do in history. In history, it is description. What were the features of Brahmo Samaj, or how did Rajaram? We are trying to see that, was it a success? Was it a failure? What are the different points? So it never attacked patriarchy. Same goes with your movements against caste system. Most of them were against untouchability, but never attacked caste system, that abolish a caste system. No movement per se talked about abolishment. It was only about reform, that okay, let's give up untouchability. That's it. These kind of analysis, sociological analysis, we'll be doing here. And you already, by the time I guess you will be done with your modern history also, where socio-religious reform movements are there. So this topic again will become very short part. Just few point of analysis we'll be doing, and it is very simple and very insignificant as a topic, right? Then next is social structure in Indian society. Now, Indian society, like Mahatma Gandhi once said, that India resides in villages. To understand Indian society, knowing about villages is important, right? Knowing the structure in the villages, right? How caste system is arranged in villages, how gender roles are arranged in villages, how economy works in villages, so that to have an understanding about Indian society. A lot of village based studies was done by M.N. Srinivas, this person. So this topic will also be kind of a repetition, or interlinkage will be there. We'll introduce 2, 3 more thinkers, but mostly it will be about M.N. Srinivas. Again, a repetition, not a new topic, but a different topic where we'll add 2, 3 more perspective. That's it. So here we will study about village as a unit in the Indian society. Then tribal communities, easy topic. Now, just to give you an idea, tribal communities in India is just a subtopic in sociology. Very small topic. Because sociology is more about modern society. And in this modern society, still there are certain scheduled tribes, certain backward groups are still there. So we will be studying it not from the primitive thing. We'll be studying in present society, what is their status, how to develop them, what are their problems. When you do anthro, this part is a lot, because that is about primitive society only. So you go into too much detail. Here, detail is not required. We'll just see in present context what is the position of scheduled tribes. Right? Now there is a lot of overlap with Indian society. In Indian society, social justice, you do your scheduled tribes also. So if you're doing it here, there it becomes against it. Right? Okay. Then we will do social classes in India. Right? We'll talk about middle class, we'll talk about agrarian class. And in paper two, these topics, you know, there are not much many things to understand. Very simple in nature, right? And easy to memorize also. We'll just talk about what is these classes, what are their functions, how it has been changing over the years, right? So a simple topic, right? It hardly takes 2 lectures, right? Okay. Now next part is kinship, right? Now till here we have seen perspectives on Indian society, where there will be thinkers, where we will understand about colonial rule. Then next part is where we will understand social structure, where we will focus on village, because village is a microcosm of Indian society, a small miniature part of the Indian society, because still now also lot of population is still rural based. So understanding Indian society without understanding of villages is a waste, right? So village, caste system, tribe, and various classes. This will tell us about the social structure of the Indian society. The next part is, in this very particular thing, we'll understand about family system in India, whose base we have already covered in paper 1. Then we will talk about religion, where half of the part again we have covered in paper 1. We'll be seeing just from the Indian point of view, right? And then lastly, in paper one, if you remember, last chapter was social change. So in paper two, social change is a separate, bigger topic because India has changed a lot since, the time of its civilization, or if we take from 1947 after independence, lot of change has happened, right? Now, this change we will be seeing through different events like Green Revolution, like through science, how change has happened, through constitution, how change has happened, right? Then we will also talk about industrialization in India, how industrialization brought a change, how urbanization brought about a change. And then in this part, we will also be talking about politics and society because democracy was something new to India after independence. How did it change the society? Now, here we will also bring in the concept of caste also. That caste, which was a traditional institution, how it changed democracy in India also. Right? There's a thinker known as Rajni Kothari who calls it casteization of politics in India. Caste was a very primitive organization, but it entered into politics also. Because at the end of the day, politics is about numbers. Where do you get numbers together? From caste. You appease one community to you get caste-based votes. Right? So this part will be about the change which is happening, and here we will be also covering one topic, which is your population dynamics. Now, in the last 2 years, population dynamics related question have come in GS1. Once in, I think in 2023, there was a question about demographic winter. No one knew about it. Only sociology students were confident and they were able to attempt that question. And one question matters a lot in GS. People had absolutely no idea about demographic winter. We do it in sociology because we'll cover the population related issues. And population related issues are also part of GS1 Indian society. Right? So this part we will be covering about how social change with respect to sex ratio, fertility, migration, what are the reasons for low sex ratio. Now, towards the end, you will realize the topics are becoming more GS oriented, which we already cover in GS, but just we'll see it from the sociological point of view. So again, easy to understand. Everyone knows what a sex ratio. We'll just try to understand what are the reasons behind it and more about sociological. We'll try to see that, why in South India the sex ratio is better, why in North it is less. Like one of the findings is that one, if we talk about especially green revolution areas, we did it yesterday also. Sex ratio is declining because land became very important. Land gets inherited by a male. So a want of male child became very, very important. Right? So, like this, we'll be talking about this, and last will be your challenges of social transformation. Right? Now, here we will be talking about few current issues and what have been the problems in India, like poverty, violence against women, caste conflicts, ethnic conflicts, communalism, regional revivalism, illiteracy, and lot of these topics we will be covering above also. When we'll do caste system, I'll cover caste conflicts there only. When we'll do patriarchy, I will cover this part there only. When we'll do inequality, we'll discuss poverty, deprivation, and inequalities there only. So the order of topics, but notes will be in the form of your syllabus, right? So that you don't have any confusion, but just for proper linear flow of the lectures. The syllabus will move in a manner where topics will be done in an integrated manner for a better understanding. Whatever topics will lead to better understanding, they will be done together. Topics which are related to each other will be done better, together. Now, if, in conclusion, we are talking about the entire syllabus. Paper 1, we will be starting first. For each chapter, there will be a comprehensive notes will be given. When I'm saying comprehensive notes, it means that no optional subject, even sociology, can be done from one book because the syllabus which is given, topics are scattered. So now there is a book, you can write it down. If you want to buy it, is your choice. I will tell you what are the major books, right? What everything is there in comprehensive notes. So one book is Haralambus. It's a big, huge blue book because there's an old edition which is orange book which is not required. Now, Haralambus older edition, orange book. It has one chapter very nicely given, that is poverty and economics and society. But now I don't expect you to buy each and every book. So whatever is useful from different books, I have included it in the notes at one place. So it is my guarantee that outside of the notes and plus the PYQs which we'll be discussing, nothing will come. We'll discuss everything. Nothing is left. That okay, you will have to read 4 different books and then you start attempting. Comprehensive notes carry everything. Now, second book is Ritzer. Ritzer is a very wonderful book for all the thinkers. I have the PDF for it, but again, I'll advise you focus on comprehensive notes. But still, if you want to read it, so it's good. Actually, it is good if you get time. If you can read standard books, sometimes you can, but it will be time consuming and wastage of time, right? Now, this book is a wonderful book. I have read it. I've seen what are the topics, and I have included topics from this very book into the notes. Like in this book, there's a thinker which we'll be doing, Talcott Parsons. He is given in a very nice manner. Marx, not that nice. Durkheim, very nicely discussed. Mead, very nicely discussed. But I have read it for you and I have included in the notes. So you don't have to separately buy all these books and read one by one because it creates confusion. Because in these books, the description is not in the same manner as the syllabus is given. The author has written in his own way. So if you start reading today, it will be very difficult for you to read Ritzer, right? So Ritzer, but it's a good book. It's my job to tell you what are the standard books. Then IGNU, Indira Gandhi National Open University's notes, BA level notes. Now these notes are made by the same professors who will check your copies also, right? So these are the people from prestigious universities who have created these notes. Again, wonderful notes. If anybody is a beginner, I would recommend that you read IGNU notes. Now, IGNU notes, again, they are very scattered in nature, but I have created a Google Drive link, which I will share once the classes start. It is arranged in proper folders according to the syllabus. So you don't have to go on the sites, and IGNU site, 50% of the time it is down. It doesn't open. I have already downloaded it according to the syllabus. You can open that Google Drive links, and if you wish, you can read it. But again, from all these 3 sources, comprehensive notes includes every important thing and in accordance with the syllabus and in a much easier form with pictures, with flowcharts. So ideally, there will be no requirement for you to gather 5, 6 books and read. Everything is given in the notes, right? And apart from this comprehensive notes, because each chapter might go around 50, 70, and sometimes 100 pages also, there are short notes which will be given every day, or I call them revision notes or revision sheets. These are handwritten revision sheets which I have made it, which will be like the crux of that day's lecture. So even you don't have to go through comprehensive notes while the classes are going on. If you want to revise it in a quick 15 minutes type of thing, go through the revision notes. Once the clarity comes with the revision sheets, then you go back and open the topic in a comprehensive one. Right? Because you see, anyhow, answer writing is in 150 words or 250 words, which are very short things. Even if you read from the revision sheets, you will have enough content to write because word limit is anyhow very low. Right? So you will have comprehensive notes and revision sheets. Plus, in comprehensive notes, current affair part is already included, but I will give you a separate PDF file once we cover substantial part of the syllabus. So current affair is also done. Again, your only job is to come here and listen to me. That's it. No need to take running notes. If anything extra is there, I will dictate to you. Everything is there in the notes. Your job is just to listen attentively and go back home and revise every day without fail. That is my expectation from you. That's it. Answer writing also, we will do it in the class. Once 2-3 topics are done, every day in the morning, first thing will be answer discussion, PY, right? Because there are sometimes certain questions which UPSC has asked, which might be difficult for you to attempt it from the classes which we have done. So we will cover those things from the UIQs, right? Okay. Then paper 2, when it comes to sources, there is no one single source for your paper 2. Paper 1 still sometimes people read just from Herlumbus also, which works for them. Sometimes people just read from Ritzer, that works, or ignore. But paper 2 is not there in one single book. No single book talks about your Indian society accordance with the syllabus, right? Even IGNU notes are very scattered. They are not complete when we compare it with our syllabus. So for sources for paper 2, the thinkers, they are given in the book by B.K. Nagla. Now, this book, he doesn't just talks about those 3 thinkers in the syllabus, he talks about other Indian thinkers also, which you can read only once the syllabus is done, once you have revised it 2 times. Now you want to do some value addition, that I want to make my answer more better, that I know separate thinkers also, right? Or you are in your second attempt, but it is not necessary. So this book you can buy for all the Indian thinkers. Indian thinkers, there is a link I will provide for IGNU notes also. There are 2 PDFs, Indian Sociological Thinkers Part 1, Indian Sociological Thinkers Part 2 from IGNU. Just go through that link. That is also enough. But again, comprehensive notes for paper 2 are also there, but just for your reading, right? Okay. Because sometimes students get this FOMO that that person is reading that book also. I don't know about this book. For your information, I am telling you, it's on your personal capacity and time. If you want to read apart from comprehensive note, it's your wish, right? Okay. Now, next, apart from this, lot of topics like caste system, tribal communities, right, social classes in India can be covered from IGNU. Then this is a very important source which I discovered during my preparation. There is a website known as Shodh Ganga. Now, Shodh Ganga is a website which is an open source of people's PhD thesis. So, say for example, if you write sex ratio, Shodh Ganga material, 4 or 5 PDFs will come where people have done their research on Indian society, right? So, if you wish to cover, you can. I have already included Shodh Ganga material also in paper. So sometimes something new comes up in news, right? And you want to read something more, or probably you want to get a case study out of it. So you can just Google it, type the topic, put Shodh Ganga, some or the other thesis, right? Thesis, I mean PDF file of 50 pages, 60 pages will be there. So you can get content. Now you don't have to read the entire 60, 100 pages. Just extract few folder lines, few important statistics, few important lines which that person has said, and that you can include it in your notes. Again, telling you, Shodh Ganga's important things are already there in the notes. Okay. Then EPW, Economic and Political Weekly, very, very good magazine if you are a sociology student. Every now and then it will have very good commentary on what is going on, and it is very relevant sociologically. But the only issue is subscription for this magazine is very expensive. It's like, I think monthly it costs you around 3,000 or 3,500 rupees. So it's very expensive. So you don't have to buy it. I keep on reading regularly. If anything comes up in EPW which is useful for you, I will share it on the group. We will have a separate Telegram group. Telegram closed group will be there for all the students, and anything news comes up, any article in EPW comes in, I will be sharing that. Right? Yes, are we clear here? Now, after the classes get over, again, if anything is there in the news, I keep on sharing it on my channel also, which is open. Any relevant news comes up, I share it on my channel. Is Sociology with Shilpa. You can follow there, right? Or something in EPW will come up, say 6 months after the classes get over, I will share it on the closed group. You don't have to worry about it, right? Now, sometimes if you are reading, or you are searching something on internet, you come across a EPW article, but it is closed. Just for your information, there is a option of buying just one article, which is like, I think 50 or 100 rupees. You can do that if you feel from the topic and the crux of the uh, article, you feel that this might add value to my paper too. Probably you can buy it, but don't worry. I keep an eye on these magazines, so you don't have to go in there, right? Then your newspaper, not newspaper, I would say current affairs integration. That is also important. This we will do it in class only, so you don't have to worry about this aspect. So paper 2 is much more scattered, but I have made the comprehensive notes for paper 2 also. Now, in fact, you can inquire from other people also whom I might join in some other institute or in Delhi also. Paper 2, nobody gives proper notes because there is no one single. Our edge over other students will be that paper 2 notes, every word which is given in the syllabus is covered. There's absolutely no topic which is, that is left to your discretion, that do it yourself, this and that. Everything is there in the comprehensive notes, right? Then revision sheets will be there from for your paper 2 also, right? And now, because uh, there are so many AI tools also making infographics. If you have correct information, making infographics has become a little easy nowadays. So this batch, a new addition which I'm doing is sharing infographics also. Apart from handwritten notes, a more colorful way to understand and not make it boring, that I will keep on sharing if I feel that infographic will help you a lot. So content wise, classes wise, you're sorted, right? And whenever you miss the class, please go back and see the recording. Recording will be exactly saying whatever we have discussed in the class. So watch it. In case you have not understood, please come after the class, ask me, right? Take 15 minutes, half an hour, doesn't matter. Because this is something you have to understand. There's no other way around it. It's your optional subject. It carries 500 marks. You have to get 283. And I'm saying 280, 300 because this is the range of highest marks. Nobody gets 400 marks in optional ever. The range is till 310 only. Or there have been very rare cases somebody has got 320. So even if you have taken maths, physics, there is a provision of scaling of marks. So highest marks hover around 280 to 310 or 320. 320 is very rare. 300, 310. This is the range. So if you are getting 280, 285 also, you are on the safer side, you are on the good side, but not just safer side. Then in GS, on an average, if you get 100 in every paper, on an average, and essay you get good marks, 130, 140, you will definitely be in the list. Definitely. Right? Yes, are we clear here? So do a preparation in a manner where you do scientific calculations. That if I'm reading this topic, let's go back to the previous year question. How many questions have come out? If you can visibly see caste system every year, 3-4 questions are coming, it means this topic, if I have to go to EPW or Shodh Ganga to get extra content also, I should do that. But if I see that, okay, from tribal communities or social reforms, hardly one question or sometimes no question comes. So now for this topic, if you're going to Shodh Ganga, EPW, you're wasting your time. The trend has been that this topic will not have many questions. Why to waste time? And we are looking at 10 years of data, 13 years of data. So it means try to cover up or try to read. If you are in a habit of reading more, that I want to read more, read about those topics which are carrying more marks, thinkers or paper two topics, right? Yes, are we clear about the syllabus? Do we have an overview about how we will be covering in class? Yes, any doubt? Okay. Now, next today we will be discussing about answer writing. Answer writing will make a little more sense once we are into the syllabus coverage, but just to give you an idea, I'll repeat these things again. When we'll start the topics, when we'll start discussing things, I will again discuss these topics, right? But just because we cannot start syllabus before we have little bit information about answer writing, so we will see the framework for answer writing. Now, sociology answer writing framework. The online students, please tell me if this is visible. Sorry, I read your message little late about zooming in. Is it visible? Yes, anyone? Okay. Now, general framework, if we are talking about sociology, similar thing. First, we start with introduction. GS answer also, we start with introduction. Now, here, introduction. You have to keep one thing in mind, that introduction can be definition based. Right? But remember the definition which thinker has given it, not your layman language, especially when it is about their theory. Say, for example, Karl Marx theory of alienation. Alienation's definition should be similar to what Marx has said, not your own language. That doesn't work in optional. There's one very big difference between optional and GS. In GS, definition you can make your own also, doesn't matter. But this is a specific discipline. You cannot use random words. Try to use maximum. I'm not saying word to word you copy him because that will be difficult to remember everything. But basic key terms which he has given, that should be there in your definition. So try to go through thinker given definition. Now, one exercise for you is that as we move towards syllabus coverage, keep one, few pages or whatever, a copy, that whatever terms keep on coming in the lectures, every day there might be one or two basic terms. Write that term and write its definition, standard definition, right? Say, for example, if we do alienation, Karl Marx has given definition of alienation, or suicide. Durkheim has given proper definition of suicide. Layman language is somebody takes his own life. That is suicide. But we are writing a sociology answer. So Emile Durkheim defines it in a certain way. So side by side, keep creating a glossary of terms like this. So that every Sunday, just open that page, revise it. See, one of the major thing which aspirant faces, that I'm not able to learn, I forget about it. See, we will be able to remember only when we revise it multiple times. It doesn't come like we read it once and then we can write everything. Memorization is a process, not a one day event. Even if you learn it in one day, next day you will forget. So the way to remember things is to revise and write answer. Because something, when you write it with your own hands, you remember it for the longer time. So when you have glossary of terms, every Sunday you are revising, just read it. I'm not saying that you, actively try to learn each and every. Just read it. Just, go through that definition. Every Sunday, if you're doing this, that will become part of your memory. Actively, you don't have to revise it again. Or, sorry, remember it. So make it a point that if you are interested in making your notes should be for revision. I'm already giving you notes, but something extra you can do is prepare a glossary of terms. This will go a long way for you, right? Now, another type of value addition which you can use in your introduction, or you don't remember definitions, say for example, these different terms will come in different works or book of different thinkers. If you remember the name of the book also, that is also fine. That Karl Marx defines the term alienation in his work, Economic and Social Manuscripts, full stop. That is introduction, that is enough. If you don't remember the definition. Now, if you are good enough with the definition, you can add both of the things also. Karl Marx, in his work, Social and Economic Manuscripts, defines alienation as this. Now, this is a definition, this is an introduction which is complete in nature. Work is also there, definition is also there. Your choice. Again, make this table where you have definition also and name of the book also where that theory appears. Every thinker has at max written one or two book only. So whatever terms are there, the books will be repeated only. So there won't be much problem. So this is how you introduce your sociology answer. When we talk about GS answer, we can define it. We can write a statistic, we can write a data also, we can write a current affair news also. So GS introduction is a different ball game altogether. This is an optional introduction of answer. So either you know the definition or you know the work, right? Yes, are we clear here? So most of the introductions will work. If you don't know about book, you don't know about the definition also, just give the general context about what you will be discussing. Introduction is nothing but you're trying to introduce somebody that okay, expect this in the next few lines or pages. So just give a generic context, right? Okay. So introduction will be standard definition or name of the work where that particular thing appears, right? Name the work in which that concept appears. Or you can combine both the two also. Your wish. Okay. Now, body of the answer. A body of the answer has to be well balanced, first of all. So, if they are asking about some theory, its criticism should always be there. We'll do a separate framework for that too. Anything you are writing, both the sides of the coin, positive, negative, should be there in your answer, right? But there will be certain concepts like, say, caste system. Caste system, don't write positive things about it, right? Or communalism, you cannot write any positive thing about communalism. So, apart from certain social evils, if they're asking, you have to write a balanced answer. Both views, pro and against, should be there in your answer. And this is a requirement of GS answer also. Writing a well balanced answer. Then use sociological jargons or terms. Now, when you take up any optional subject, you take up sociology, you take up geography, you take up public administration, you take up PSIR. Your answer has to be like you are a sociologist, you are a political scientist, you are an anthropologist, not a layman person. So, whatever terms we keep on doing in the class, they should reflect in your answer. They should not look like that this is something you have made it on your own. Proper usage of sociological terms is very, very important. These things you will understand more deeply as we go on with the syllabus, but just for understanding. When people say sociological answer or geography answer, optional I'm talking about, it means usage of the technical terms which are there in that particular optional subject, right? Okay. Then this I have told you, language used by the thinker, especially for the theories, right? And one biggest myth which most of the sociology students have, they will only use Indian thinkers in paper two. You can use Western thinkers also in paper two. There is absolutely no ban on this. If your concepts get cleared, whatever has been asked in the question through a paper one thinker, you can. There is no division per se when you're writing in paper one and paper two, which is, which I was vindicated in this concept when last year only there was a question on caste in paper one. So UPSC doesn't treat, they have given syllabus, but sometimes questions are interchangeably there in the other subjects also. They had asked about caste as a status group from Weber's perspective. So you don't read it like a strict boundary. That if I have studied Marx, I cannot use it. You can use it here. If it is relevant, you use. Obviously, don't use irrelevant thinkers. But if it proves your point, you can use it. Right? Okay. Then value addition in the answer. In optional also, you can use flowcharts, you can use diagrams. Say, for example, you're talking about caste system. Make a diagram quickly about caste system. That Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Dalit. Small, small additions, right? If you are probably talking about classification of something, say, for example, we'll be doing the topic of social action. So social action has a classification, types of social action. Quickly, you can draw a classification flow chart like this. If somewhere it involves a mechanism, you can draw it that okay, this leads to this and this leads to this and this. You can draw a flow chart like this. People have been getting marks because of this. This adds value to your answer. Then if there is a question about differences, which will be a lot, see, we move forward, I will also keep on telling you the type of or nature of questions which come. Sometimes there will be questions about differences. Compare theory of stratification by Weber and Marx. This has come 3 times. Now, everybody has the same content. Theory is same, theory is fixed. What Marx said, Weber said, you cannot add your own points. Now, how to make it better than the other person? It's always the fight of 1 mark. I want to have an answer better than the other person. My content is same. Everybody who is sitting here will do theory of stratification, same points. Now, how do you make this answer different is you draw a difference table. One side Marx theory, other side Weber's theory. Anyhow, in the class, we will be doing in the tabular form only. So whenever you see a differences question, like once there was a question about differentiate between anomy and alienation. Again, do it in a table form. Because big paragraphs, everybody will like. Examiner will see your answer where there is a neatly drawn table, very clearly differences are visible, you'll get more marks. These type of tricks, tips we will keep on doing that is why I do previous year questions. Because till the time you have an habit of attempting previous year questions, you're not preparing at all. So every day when we do a topic, we'll do previous year questions to have a deeper understanding. That I have read the content. Content everybody reads. Don't be a person who just hoards notes. This book also, this book also, this book also. One single source, first of all. Even if you're reading something extra, take a sticky note, paste it in your main notes. If something extra you have. Don't become a notes or books collector. Very bad exercise in UPSC. Already the syllabus is huge. Right? Already there are 4 GS papers, 2 optional papers. Right? Anyhow, 6 books you are already reading. Bare minimum 6 books you will read. Now, if you add and double the books, you're just increasing your burden. Stick to one book and stick to one source which is suitable to you. I'm right now I'm talking about, in general, GS. If it works for you, read it. You don't have to stick that ABC topper said for polity, these notes are very good. Probably you might not able to understand through those notes. Choose your own sources. But this source, I understand it in a better manner. Everybody has different demands. Some people are not able to understand shorter versions of notes. Some people need great elaboration. So don't run after people. Take inspiration, but have a preparation which is tailor made for you. You have to read, you have to sit and write an answer. Something which works for one person will not work for another person. Right? Sociology, when it comes to notes, I've already told you it is there in one place, it is elaborated properly, it has pictures, it has flowcharts, short notes are there. For sociology, you don't have to worry about it. But if you read something extra, please paste it on the one single source. Because see, imagine tomorrow, after 1 week, it's your exam. Will you open 4 different books in front of you and revise? How can you do the revision? You need one small source. Your glossary tables, your revision sheets, they will help you to revise the entire syllabus in 4 5 days. A person who has 2 books for each chapter, at max, he will be able to complete just the 50% of syllabus. And we don't want that. We want quick revision, right? And we want to write answers. Writing answers is your basic, or you can say the main aim when you are doing your preparation is answer writing. So keep these things in mind when you are preparing. And I'm just saying it in a generic way, GS, optional, whatever. Right? Okay, coming back. So do a value addition. If you think a news can be integrated here, you integrate that news too. Right? Then conclusion. Conclusion is summarize the answer. Now there are 3 different ways of conclusion also. We will be doing it once we start discussing previous year question in the class. There are 3 different methods. You won't understand it right now. Once we start with the topics, we complete certain syllabus. And when we have a discussion here, I will explain you how there can be 3 different ways you can conclude an answer, right? And all this general framework will make more sense. But it's a general introduction for you that, okay, this is the expectation out of an answer. When I am writing introduction, I have to write just one sentence. And one sentence should have a standard definition. Most of my words should be dedicated to body of the answer. Then again, conclusion at max 1 or 2 sentence. Rest for this. Then how to manage time, how to attempt paper, this we will keep on learning through during the classes. Once you get acquainted with some of the syllabus, these things will start making more sense, right? Okay. Now, specifically, there will be questions which are thinkers and theory based. Now, for them, there is a little, a tweak, or you can say a little addition in the form of a mnemonic that introduction, you can give a definition, right? Or the thinker has given a quote, you can start with that quote also. The body of the answer in these cases, there is a framework known as FCR. That whenever there is any theory based questions, you write features of the theory, you write criticism of the theory to make it balance, and also relevance. Relevance in present times. Moment you see a thinker based question, your mind should work in this direction. I have to write features of the theory, criticism, and probably end my answer. Relevance can become your conclusion also, your wish, right? And then when we are talking about criticism in your answer, there will be at 2 levels. A general criticism, and sometimes some thinker gives a criticism of others. Say, for example, Parsons is a thinker we'll be doing, and Merton was his student. When Parson released his book, it became famous, and he was a old person and he died. And then Merton, as a sociologist, became popular. Now, Merton's half of the theory is criticism of Parson. So when we will do Merton, it is like a critique of Parsons. So lot of criticism of Parsons' theory will come from Merton only. Although he was a student, he understood the limitations of his theory a lot. Major part of his work was dedicated to this only, right? So that will be a specific criticism. Some thinker has told that, okay, this is the criticism. Like M.N. Srinivas has done a critique of G.S. Ghurye. And we don't need full one-page critique, just one line, what they have said about his theory. And some can be general in nature, general criticism, not just by anything. So this also makes your answer better than the other person. That you're not just writing generic criticism, you are aware of how other thinkers have critiqued that particular theory or whatever framework that person has. Right? Okay. Then conclusion is summarize, etc. We will do, like I told you, there will be 3 ways to summarize, and that will make more sense when we cover the syllabus. So this is one another frame. And as we cover the syllabus, different types of questions will come. Every question, if there is any change in the framework or if there is any mnemonic which can help you to remember it in a better manner, we will discuss it in the class. Right? Because if I start explaining the mnemonic right now, you will not understand because you have absolutely zero base in sociology. You don't know who is Karl Marx, you don't know who is Durkheim. So as we move forward, that is why answer writing remains a component of the course. It is not something separate that once your syllabus is done, then you join some test series. Everything is included: mentorship, answer writing, test series, one-to-one interaction. And even once the syllabus is done, you're free to message me on Telegram and you can arrange a Zoom call if you can't come. We will have a Zoom call. You're not understanding anything. My responsibility is there because this is the main part of your preparation. It is not any random GS paper, right? Okay. So this is one another, just to give you an idea, GS type questions for paper 2. Like I told you, sometimes GS type questions, straightforward, simple questions come, and most of the students get confused. How do I write? So for them, there is a framework known as Spices framework. I'll just give you an overview, right? When we will do paper 2, you will have a better understanding. All these sheets, you will get it in the group. Once we make that group, I'll share all these pages. So don't worry, right? Okay. Now, Spices framework, that once a question comes with respect to, say, MG Narega in 2014, so they just asked about a short note, and the short note was like this: MG Narega. That's it. Nothing before, after, nothing, just MG Narega. A lot of people were confused that, okay, how to write this? They've just written MG Narega. It will not be, the answer will not be 100 days of insured employment. That is not sociological answer. So now for these type of questions, there will be certain frameworks where you will use this, right? You will think from this perspective. Do you all know about PESEL framework? PESEL framework? So usually political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental. So this is a thinking tool basically. That if you don't remember things, say for example, you are covering communalism topic, causes of communalism. See it from PESEL approach. Is there any political cause? Is there any economic cause? There any social cause? So likewise, whenever paper 2 questions come, which are more GS, look like GS, the approach will be through Spices framework, where S stands for structure and stratification. You will see the concept of stratification. Does it work? So MG Narega, you will talk about Dalits, rural poor, gender. These are all stratification systems. Stratification system is around class, around gender. So you have to see that how MG Narega impacted Dalits. How did it impact women? Now this becomes sociological, directly sociological. We are not interested about that they are getting 100 days of employment. That is GS. What is the impact on society? And now when I say what is the impact on society, how do I write this impact? I think it from stratification point of view, class, gender, caste. Was there any impact on these perspectives? That becomes your 1 point. So whenever these type of questions, and these are the weak points of half of the students. They don't know how to attempt these questions. They know we have to write impact on society, but how to write it? You discuss it on this perspective. Then institutions, Spices, sorry, power and politics chapter, right? You talk about, has there been any change with respect to politics or power? Let's take example of MG Narega again, because this is a current affair topic, so you will have a better understanding. So power and politics, what happened is, locally the people who were elite, who were powerful, They were able to get more jobs for their known people. People who were genuinely leading it could not get it. So another point is that there was a local elite capture of the entire scheme. Panchayat did favoritism, right? And job card manipulation started happening. So power play started happening here. So if you have spices model in mind, I have to think around stratification. Is there any point I have to think about with respect to power or politics? Right? Next, I will think about institution. Was there any impact on family, economy, polity, the various social institutions? I write about it. Right? Then cultures and norms. Was there any change here? Because of, you can write about MG Narega. Like say, for example, change in culture tradition was women got more dignity. They were no longer limited to the kitchens because now they had money, they had respect. So you think from that angle. So any person who is thinking from GS will have only one point: 100 days of guaranteed employment. Person who has this framework, no matter which type of question comes, he uses the spices framework and will be able to write down things. Right? Okay. So, and one thing about paper 2 is we will be doing case studies. Case studies are nothing. Sometimes a scholar takes a survey of a sample size population and he gives his findings. So if we write these findings in a paper to answer, again, validation. And this is already there in your notes. You don't have to collect it separately. So either write the change in the culture or you can add a case study also. Then exclusion and inequality. These are all, topics from your syllabus, right? Then S, social change. Our last topic was social change. So what is the social change due to MG Narega? Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points purely from a framework. You will understand better once we cover syllabus. But just for an overview, this is just one framework which I'm giving an example. We'll be doing more frameworks too. Because just reading content will never be enough. If you think that reading 2 times, 3 times, 4 times you'll become a topper, you will not. Answer writing. And answer writing also calculated, scientifically learned. That no matter which question comes in the paper, I will write points, sociologically relevant points. So now 6 points you have. MG Narega compared to person who just knows one point that it is 100 days of guaranteed employment. That is also not sociologically relevant. You're already 6, 7 marks ahead of that person. 6, 7 marks are a lot in UPSC. Even half of one mark is a lot. Directly in one question, you are 6 marks ahead. Take half of marks in other questions. Right? Say half marks in next 15 questions, you are already ahead. 7.5 marks. So you have to think in this manner. You don't have to write the best answer in the country. You have to write a better answer than other peers. That's it. That is the only aim. Time is very limited. Word limit is very limited. Covering it from a conventional way that I will read and answer writing and wait will never lead to good marks, will never lead to a good rank. We need certain frameworks. We have very limited time and we have a lot of things to do, right? So that is why we will keep on doing answer writing while we proceed with the syllabus. Spices framework, if you have understood it, my only point was to tell you 6 points can be generated from this mnemonic. Right? We will understand it in a better way once we cover the topics and we will do other frameworks as well. So your answer writing part will remain the focus of our course, right? Classroom teaching obviously is there. Focus remains this. Now, answer writing, even once the course gets over, please message me or meet me if you're writing any number of answers during the class also. You're free to show it. There is no, absolutely no, number that, okay, you can only show one answer or two answers, any number. It's your wish. You have to write down, my job is to correct it and tell you. More answers you will write, more proficient you will become in this. This year, rank 360 was there. She was my mentee. And, I will share her answers. I think I shared it in orientation session too. If you look at her answers, she's, she improved so much just by being very consistent. Even when she was getting 5 marks out of 10, she was always there, ma'am. What can I do to get 6? What can I do to get 6.5? Constantly doing answer writing. Even 15 days before mains, she was there, in the staff room, sitting with me 15 days before the exam, writing answers, getting it checked. So, this type of commitment is needed. Just sitting and listening will never do anything, even if it is GS, even if it is optional. Years and years will pass, and you will be still at point one if you don't write answers. Answer writing is your main weapon in the exam. That will decide whether you give interview, that will decide your rank, that will decide your cadre, and indirectly your marriage also. People are stuck in, far off, although, you should be ready to serve anywhere, but still, if you are looking for some balanced life where you're closer home, where is the root cause? Answers. Think about a life where you want to be in your state or nearby your state. Where do you get that from? Rank. Where does the rank come from? Means. What is means? Answer writing. Interview will just boost your marks. That's it. Good interview will never decide your rank. It will just boost the marks. So the root cause or your root, the foundation of your rank or your rest of your life is answer writing. And I don't understand why students delay it. Let me be perfect. Let me read this 10 different books. Start from day one. Start from a bad answer. Doesn't matter. This is, you see, answer writing is a refinement process. It is not a magic pill you'll have one day and next day you're writing the best answer. You refine over time. One day you write a bad answer, you take a feedback from me. Next day you write better answer. Next day you write another answer. Through the time you refine yourself. Then it becomes part of your brain. Automatically your hand will run in this manner. You don't even have to remember spices, framework, actively. Passively in your head, that I have to start from stratification and this and that. That will come only and only with more and more practice. So this I will be expecting in the class, right? So now from tomorrow, we will again have a general discussion about what is sociology, what do you mean by society, and we'll be starting with the first topic, that is emergence of sociology, right? Yes, are we clear here? So tomorrow, I think towards the second half of the class, we'll be starting with syllabus. And then I think in one or two class, we'll complete with emergence of sociology and we'll be moving to the most important topic, thinkers, and we will be starting with Karl Marx. Right? Okay, thank you so much.